joining us on another episode of AskJMO. Today I have Mr. Terrell Jackson here with us. Terrell, could you give us just a quick introduction of yourself, please?
Hello, how y'all doing? My name is Terrell Jackson. I am a defensive line coach at Bethel University, located in McKenzie, Tennessee. In my third season there, but my 10th year coaching college football.
So, I have all of my guests leave a question for the next guest, okay? And so the question that you have is, how has mental health impacted your life?
How has mental health impacted my life? Well, being a former service member, I spent time in the military. Uh, I got the military in 97, 96, 97. Um, I was diagnosed with PTSD. The problem that I had was that uh, it took me from 1996 up until 2010 to finally talk to someone. Now, once I began to talk to someone, things became a lot easier. And believe me when I tell you, they became a lot easier. So the thing that we need to do is, I feel, not shy away from mental illness. Embrace it, get the help that you think you need, and go forward. We need to quit the stigma of um, the crazy label. How I feel.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And I also agree with you. I think it's very important that people look at mental health as more of a conversation and another reason to go and get help. We'll rush to the doctor, to the hospital, if we get hurt in some type of injury, we want someone to look at it, but we don't, we're not as quick to rush to get help when it comes to how we're processing our thoughts and our emotions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I provided you with a few questions. Let's just jump right into it. The first question I have for you is, how have sports impacted your life?
Oh man, I don't want to age myself, but I've been involved in sports, playing sports, coaching sports since 1983, and that's organized sports. I'm not talking about going outside and playing in the park. So organized sports since 1993. Here we are in 2023. So my math is not that good. Um, but my greatest, I feel, sports has impacted me is more on the coaching side because
Okay.
I always believe that if I'm not preparing my players or putting them in a situation that they would be successful at their next phase of their life, then I've done something wrong. Um, I really don't care about the current situation. I don't care if we go 11 and 0. I don't care if we go 15 and 0. What I'm more concerned about now, especially with my collegiate players, I want you to call me 10 years from now and invite me to your wedding. I want you to call me 10 years from now and say, Coach, come to my child's first game. Coach, I just got a promotion at my job. Coach, now I'm coaching. Coach, now I'm a school teacher. What we do on the football field now only benefits me as a coach, doesn't benefit you. So I want to be impactful now so they'll be successful 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Okay. So how did you get to that point? Do you feel like you started off at that point as far as wanting to be impactful and making sure you are making each player the best version of themselves, or did you have to mature into that thought process?
That thought process really came along when I started coaching middle school football. I was coaching in the middle school in Clarksville, Tennessee. And what made me realize that was I had a couple coaches that wanted us to run the same offense and defense that the neighboring high school was running, the high school that these kids would be going to. And my first comment was, I have players that can't spell football. So why am I going to try and implement an offense or a defense that I know these players can't comprehend or execute at this level? Let me get them ready to play high school football. Let me prepare them to know the basics of high school football so when they go to high school, that coach can implement his own offensive and defensive scheme. And I kind of took that from there and kind of ran with it.
Okay. Well, that's good. But it's also important that you, as a coach, even just an adult, to recognize the strengths and the weaknesses of your athletes. Sometimes, as parents or even coaches, we're so focused on winning and not necessarily focusing on ability or understanding in order to move on to the next play. So, how do you communicate with your parents in regards to an athlete's ability or just capability overall?
Oh, wow. Uh, I've had a motto for the last uh, maybe 15, 16 years. And my motto has always been this: once your child steps on this side of the white line, he is now my player. Once he goes back on the other side of this white line, he becomes your child. I don't go to your job and tell you how to do your root canal. So please don't come to this football field and try to tell me how to coach your player. Once again, my job is to put your player in the best situation. Let me help you and your player out.
Okay.
I've get,
So,
I've got,
go ahead.
I've gotten some. I'm sorry. I've gotten some kickback from that,
That's
That's
what I
what I
was
was
going
going
to
to
but
ask.
ask.
I've gotten some kickback from that, but I don't do it in a harsh way. I always believe in film. So I always tell parents, come to practice, film your child, film what they are doing. That way we can both sit down and analyze and say, hey, this is where his weaknesses are, this is what his strengths are at. And during maybe toward the end of the season, my ratio is about 99%. 99% of my parents finally get, okay, yep, you were right. This is what he needs to work on. This is what we should do. So, but in the beginning, I, I had a lot of parents like, you can't tell me what to do. That's my child. You can't tell me about football, And I'm like, wow, I've been playing football at a high level and coaching at a high level. I don't come tell you how to do your root canal. So,
Okay. So, can you share with our listeners just a little bit in regards to your journey getting to the collegiate level?
ooh, wow, God. Well, it all started off. Me and Jesus was actually teammates back in 1984 when I started high school. So I played high school football, played a little college football. Um, College just wasn't for me. Um, and that's another thing I would tell everybody. College don't mean it was for everybody. Ended up joining the military. Um, got the military and decided to stay here at Fort Campbell / Clarksville. Um, got to seeing my kids play football and play sports and wanted to kind of get into the coaching thing. They wanted to do it at the high school level. They didn't want to do it at the college level. Just wanted to try to, coach the young ones up. Had a friend of mine by the name of Corey Phillips. He is now in the recruiting coordinator at Colorado, was working at Vanderbilt and gave me a call, I want to say in 2016. And they had a camp and asked me about being a DJ. But my dad always told me that a closed mouth never got fed. So I went down there and did the 1 day camp. Um, Derek Mason, who was the coach at the time, all I said was, hey man, y'all need a home DJ. That's all I said. And
Okay.
he said, yep, we do. Come Monday, let's talk numbers. So went through that Monday, talked to him, started DJing. Um, Started walking around campus What do you do? What do you do? Well, I work in the recruiting department. I know y'all don't want to drive back and forth to Montgomery County look at kids. I live in Montgomery County. Yep, you do. So hey, you want to help us do some recruiting? Hey, no problem. Got that. Got a chance to go to a couple of practices and notice they had 9,000 linebackers out there, but only one coach. Hey, coach, there like 15,000 linebackers out here, but you only got one coach. Need some help? Yeah, we do. So that's how all that right there started,
Okay.
and it just took off from there.
So I think just you sharing that story is huge though too for all athletes and just anybody. Like you said, closed mouths don't get fed. And so you saw an opportunity instead of just looking at things around you, you asked questions and you took a chance. How did you get to that point in your life or were you always like that?
I was kind of always like that. Like I said, my dad told me a closed mouth don't get fed. If it's something that you want, um, you're only gonna hear one or two things, yes or no. And if you hear no, hey, just move on to the next thing. But you should always try to pursue it because you. The one thing you can say you should never say is, um, "I didn't try, so I don't know what would have happened." At least I know I asked. If they had told me no, I'm still gonna be DJing Saturday.
Okay. So do you translate that over to your players?
Oh yes, all the time. Um,
Okay.
in my defensive line room, because I coach defensive line, um,
Hmm.
we meet and watch film and go over what the game plan is. It's always an open-ended conversation, which means I know I'm not going to be right all the time. So we maybe watch film, and I always let them know, hey guys, if you see something that may work here, instead of what we've come up with as a coaching staff, say that. Say, hey coach, I don't think that player worked here. This play right here may work better. And let's look at it. Let's analyze it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not the one on that field making plays. You are. You the one got to be comfortable. I done had them car accidents. Now you are in these car accidents every day, and you the one that got to be comfortable on the field, not me. All I'm doing is sitting there and playing. So I always give the players the power to, hey, if something may work, say that.
Okay. So you mentioned something earlier about watching your sons play football. Tell me what that is like. How do you are you able to separate the two for being a coach and a parent, or is it just always stay rolled into one?
No, it's separate, but it's quite easy. Um, I got a friend of mine named Carl Reed, and I think we both kind of came up with this model, but of course he's gonna take credit for it because he is Carl Reed. Um, when watching my kids play sports, I have one job. That's to sit in the stands, eat sunflower seeds, and tell lies. That is my only job. I'm not there to coach my child. I'm not there to give him pointers. He has a coach, and I let his coach do his job. You will never see me sideline my coach. You will never hear me ask a coach about playing time. Now, I will ask the coach, what can my child do to get better? That is the only question I would ever ask a coach. So to me, it's quite easy. I'm going to sit in them stands, I'm going to eat them sunflower seeds, and I'm going to tell lies like the rest of the dad.
I mean, but that's a mouthful in itself. It's just being able to sit there and be a parent, but
but
also
also
taking
taking
on
on
that
that
ownership
ownership
and
and
that
that
responsibility. Like, I'm just the parent here. I am not the coach, and I'm not trying to tell the coach what to do. But also, you being a coach, you know what that feels like as well, correct?
Right? You're right. Because I don't want to be sideline coach. I never want to be standing on the sideline and hearing parents talking about, you know, put little Johnny in, or you should do this, we should do that, you should do that. If you have those concerns, give me 24. My rule is always is a 24-hour rule. After a game, I don't want to discuss anything about that game or a player because we all are emotional at that time. And what we don't want to do is say things that we regret. So if we play on Saturdays, don't call me to Monday because Saturday I don't want to talk about the game. Sunday, I'm usually watching the NFL or breaking down some film, and then we could talk Monday. Cooler heads probably prevail best on Monday.
Okay, great advice. Another question I have for you is what do you think is the biggest mental health barrier for athletes in high school transitioning to college?
Whoa. I don't know if this would be a mental health thing, but I think it's more of a, well, you could say it's mental health because it's a thought. The biggest thing I see, and I've noticed with athletes going from high school to college, especially football players, I can only speak for football players. Majority of them believe that what they did in high school, that they're immediately going to be able to do that in college. They feel, well, I was a 5 star in high school. I'm going to be a 5 star in college. And let me say, once you get to college, you are playing against grown men. When I mean grown men, I'm talking about men that are probably on their next way to playing at a professional level. So you are playing against, I'm talking about men. Some of these men have children already. So for you to think that I'm an 18-year-old and I'm finna go in here and dominate at the next level, yeah, you do have your outliners. I'm not gonna lie, you
Mhm.
do have some, but the majority of these players think that since I was the man in high school, that I'm going to be the man immediately in college. Another thing is time management. Um, high school and high school sports are so structured. Like in high school, we all been to high school, and our classes were back to back to back to back. Maybe we had a study hall in there and a lunch, but for the most part, their classes were back to back to back. That is not the case in college. You may have an 8 o'clock in the morning class, and your next class may not be till 1:30. Now you done went back to your dorm room and went to sleep, and now you wake up. It's 2:45. Your practices are not going to be the same for the most part all the time. For instance, we have practice Tuesday and Wednesday. We start meetings at 3 o'clock. Some Thursdays we have practice at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Mhm.
And when I say 5 a.m., you can't show up at 5 a.m. That means you probably got to be on the field at 4:45 a.m. Now, I ain't counting you getting up, brushing your teeth, walking to the facility, getting ready for practice. I ain't counting none of that yet. So you're
Yeah.
probably gonna be getting up by 3:45 in the morning. So to go from practice Wednesday, getting out at 6:30. Now you got to go eat, you got to wash your tail, you got to study. You're probably gonna have study hall. Now you gotta get right back up at 3:45 a.m. to be at a practice at 4:45 a.m. And you got that same coach who kind of called you everything but a child of God Wednesday. Now he called you them same names Thursday before the crack of dawn. So that it can be a lot for some.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a lot of mental stress for
yeah,
anyone who goes in there with the same mentality. Oh, as I was the star in high school, so I already know I'm gonna be the star here. You're not even allowing yourself grace to adjust to this new environment.
correct. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
So, how do you help those athletes?
Uh, you try to give them a strong dose of humility. One thing I try to do now as recruiting kids, um, I try to put a post up every day on what was formerly known as Twitter, uh, about recruits. Hey, go in humble.
Hmm.
Um, you may not even get a helmet your first week there. Your practice jersey may come from Walmart. Um, what makes you think that you're just going to walk in and play over guys that's already been there for 3 years who know their system already? You think you're going to walk in, and for the most part, Training camp is usually only fall camp is usually only maybe a month. I give you a month for fall camp. You think you're going to come in, get in shape, learn the playbook, and beat out guys who've been there 2 or 3 years in a matter of 30 days? Yes. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. But that's one out of 500 that it may happen to. So the guys that usually come in, I try to talk to them on a daily basis. Hey, you know, get your reps on the scout team. Put up film on the scout team. Force the coach to play you. But if you don't play this season, get better, get stronger, get in your playbook, focus on your grades. So that's how I try to, do that, tackle that situation.
Okay.
Now it's not easy.
So we've been talking about sports at the collegiate level. When you were helping with the high schools and the middle schoolers, how did you help them when they were getting in their head about playing time?
Well, at the high school level, and I think this was probably a blessing in disguise. I coached at Mount Pleasant High School, which at that time was a 1A school. We only had 35 kids. So
Okay.
it it really wasn't it really wasn't a fuss about playing time. When you got
Right.
35 kids, kind of everybody, got to do some playing. Um, Now what I do try to tell kids in Montgomery County, because as you know, Montgomery County we have 4A, 5A, and 6A. So there are, especially the 6A level, there are plenty of kids on the team. I try to tell kids to fight for their position. And what I mean for fight for their position is force the coach to play you. Um, Stay in your playbook. Um, Keep your grades up. Don't get in trouble. Um, Practice like you are a one. And what I mean by that is practice like you are a starter. Practice like you are a starter. Make the starter better. Make the starter go, man, hey, my number two is pretty good. So those things usually they almost help. But I think the biggest deterrent is not actually players, it's more of parents, to be honest. Because most
Okay.
most players kind of understand, hey, I'm not as good as the person that's above me. Most players get that. It's parents I don't like.
All right. Well, you brought it up. Let's dive into it. So, I think it's important. And I mean, I have children who play sports. I've coached some sports and I sit on the sideline. Like most fans, everybody's going to talk trash. But I
Right.
also see the effort and ability of my own children. And so what I tell them is like, okay, somebody said this. What are you doing? Are you proving them right? Or are you proving them wrong? I can go and ask questions, but I can't fight your battle because only your actions are going, that's going to be what fights your battle. But there's parents that will pull kids from teams and go create another team. Parents that will badmouth all the coaches in front of their child, which makes it very uncomfortable for the child. And there's parents that just sit there and watch the game or support everything that's being done. What is your advice just to parents overall? You don't have to pick any of those categories, but just as another parent to another parent, especially those in middle school and high school, what is your advice to them?
First, I always say, is the coach your child playing for? Are they advocates or are they trying to put your child in a situation to be successful? Whether it's on the court, on the field, off the field. Are they putting them in a situation to be successful? That's number one in my book. If this coach is not putting my child in a place to be successful, I don't want you coaching my child. Two, my advice to parents is Get engaged with your child's sport. I always tell parents all the time, first know the rules. Know the rules of the sport your child is participating in. That way you and your child can have conversations about it. Three, do not give your child instructions in the game, especially basketball. Because the only thing I ever hear in basketball is shoot, shoot, take the shot, Johnny. No one ever yells, get a rebound, Johnny. Box out, Johnny. Hey, I never hear this word in basketball. Pass,
Pass the ball.
pass the ball. Now, well, hold on, take that lie back. I do hear that word when their child doesn't have the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell parents, don't give your child sideline instruction. Engage with the coach. But when you engage with the coach, never ask about playing time. You should only ask, how can my child get better? Does my child need extra training? If my child needs extra training, what can I do to help my child get better? Uh, and I do agree with you. And this comes probably on an AAU tip with basketball. I don't like the way they treat my child, so I'm gonna go start my own league. Right? Really? So I'm just gonna speak for him, Montgomery County. I think we got maybe 300,000 people in Montgomery County, and I can tell you we probably got 299,000 AAU teams. And it's like, why, people? Why? Why are we starting so many AAU teams? Because your child can't be the focal point, and that man, that chaps me up when I hear about all these AAU teams. Every year, there's a new AAU team. Uh, I just wish parents would be quiet during games. That is the biggest thing. Look, if you ain't buying popcorn or cheering the whole team on, just be quiet.
So what I've offered different like parent groups of athletes, just different monthly group sessions for parents to come in and kind of just be able to vent and maybe not necessarily advocate, but just sit with another with other parents of athletes to talk about either their frustrations, if they feel like they're putting too much pressure on their child, if maybe they don't understand how or why to be involved enough. But I think how you mentioned parents in high school and their actions, but also their lack of actions. How does that translate over to a child when they're transitioning from high school to college? Like, say you have a child who's doing very well in their
Uh-huh.
sport, especially football, but their parents are nowhere to be found as far as supporting them. Um, Parents work, and I get that, but I mean, just even being engaged, like you said, with the coach, how does that translate when they get to college?
But believe it or not, what you just said about that lack of uh, participation from parents while their kid was in high school is probably a great thing when they get to college. And I
Okay.
explain why. Most people that go to college, um, athletically wise, probably go 2, 3 hours away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're used to grandmama, dad, mom, sister, brother, my aunt, my uncle Willie, who showed up with the church socks on and the cut off dress pants. If you're used to 20 and 30, 40 people showing up at your high school games and they all got a shirt on with your number on it, probably not going to happen in college. Probably not going to happen in college. And I say that because, man, you got a student that's going 2 or 3 hours away from home. What's the odds of, you know, mom, dad, everybody driving 2, 3 hours away to come see you play? Come seeing you, not knowing that you're gonna get in the game. That's number one, because that we don't give out depth charts. We don't tell kids, or you're playing Saturday. Tell mom and dad. Oh no, we don't know that. Now you may dress. Now there is. We do put a dress list out. Hey, you are dressing, but because you put a jersey on Saturday, don't mean you're gonna go off the sideline. So I don't know too many parents and relatives who's gonna, you know, waste $100, $200 worth of gas to come see little Bobby, and Bobby may not get in the game. So Bobby has to get used to that real quick. And he goes, well, I didn't have nobody in high school. I'm looking at the stands in college. I ain't got nobody. It's the ones who were, and I hate to use, so I'm not going to use the word shelter. It's the ones that had a lot of support in high school who usually struggle at the next level because now they're looking up and mom is not there to wake them up in the morning. Mom is not there with that home cooked meal. Um, Dad is not there at practice to pick them up. Uh, they ain't going out to McDonald's to eat with Uncle Willie. So those are the ones who really struggle. So the ones who didn't have that support in high school, they get it already. They understand. Look, well, they wasn't there in high school. What's the difference now?
Okay. I definitely can't understand that, but how do they, do you see a difference in between how they deal with adversity? Is it they just keep it all in and they try to figure it out themselves versus those who are used to that overbearing support, possibly a little bit more sensitive to everything else that's happening?
Yeah. Now I will say those who are used to fighting for themselves, they learn how to. Um, they keep stuff on the inside, learn how to deal with it. Now that also can be kind of detrimental because they hold so much stuff in. It's like a ticking time bomb. Because I've
Mm-hmm.
seen it just this season right here alone, and we're only 2 games in, and I've already seen it from a player who was used to not having that support, but then they were a ticking time bomb. Versus the person that always had that support, and now it's not there. They're going to be the first person to go, I'm not used to this. So they're willing to talk. They're willing to get it out. The problem that we have as a society, we label them as crybabies. We label them as whiners. We label them as, oh, you're not a man. Stop being a wuss. You know. Then they go into that shelter stage of, well, when I do say something, I'm getting talked about.
Okay. So it's helping them trying to identify a healthy balance as far as, you know, I'm not used to this and I want some help, but still feeling comfortable enough to ask for help and the others around them understanding the importance of being able to ask for help without trying to make them feel less than.
Right, right, right. And it's also uh, it's that male ego thing too. That male ego, boy. Whew, that thing right there is powerful. Uh, that male ego tell you, no, you don't want to ask for nothing. You want to try to do stuff on your own. Then we get into you know, men are supposed to be lions. We're not supposed to be cubs. Why are you whining? Stop complaining. Stop acting like a girl. And those, when I tell you, I hear it. I hear it. So I've always told my players, hey, I'm a good listener. Um, I listen to you all night. So whatever you want to talk about, talk. Because 99% of the people that want to talk, they already have the answers. They just really just want to kind of get it out on what they want to do. So I tell my players all the
Absolutely.
time, I I'm here to listen. I will listen to you all night. I will actually turn my TV off and I will listen to you because you just want to express how you feel. And majority of the time when they express how they feel, they're like, okay, thank you, coach. I'd be like, I ain't did nothing but just listen to you.
And you just provided a safe space for them, a safe space where they're not feeling judged and where they
Right,
feel secure enough to say, hey, coach, this is what's going on in my head and not feeling judged afterwards. I think that's very important in any type of relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And that actually brings me to the next question is how important are the relationships between coaches and athletes and teammates?
That relationship has to be um, strong and important. Um, and I started this when I started coaching um, middle school football, and it kind of happened on accident. Um, I don't like remembering names. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. So you give me a list of players, I don't remember your name. Because first of all, I got some of these parents get these kids names. Man, I can't pronounce that. What is this? So what I started doing was issuing my kids nicknames, and it feels more personal when I issue a nickname. You know, most nicknames have to be earned, or if you just do something crazy, hey, that's your nickname. And
Mm-hmm.
I've started issuing names in middle school, and I've got players that have already graduated high school and on to college that I still don't know their real name, but I know them by their nickname. I'll give you an example. Uh, I don't know if you, and I'm okay. I put it like this. I'm not going to mention the name. Uh, I had a player um, play for me in middle school, and I was kind of going around asking, "Hey, did you play last season?" I got to him. I said, "Hey, did you play football last year?" And he tells me, "No, coach, I took the year off." And I immediately just said, "Oh, so now you Le'Veon Bell?" Because at that time, Le'Veon Bell was with the Steelers,
Mm-hmm.
and he took the whole year off. And from that day forward, I called that young man Le'Veon Bell. From that day forward, this player had got all the way into his senior. He was a junior in high school, so this would have been his senior year in high school. And I found out what his name was, and I still could not call him by his name. So every time I see him at a Clarksville High football game, it was Le'Veon Bell, and his mom would just crack up laughing. And she was like, "You still Yep, I still call him Le'Veon Bell." And it was just, you, I don't think nobody else could call him that, and he would respond to it. But I say, "Hey, Le'Veon," and he would look up and just smile. And I've always felt like that's the type of relationship I always want to have with my players. Like I have players in college that I give nicknames to. Believe it or not, I'm talking about grown men. No, dude, your name is Shuggy Otis. I have a defensive lineman that looks like the singer Shuggy Otis. Shuggy Otis is an artist that made the song Strawberry Letter 23
Mm-hmm.
that the Brother Johnsons redid. And he was like, Shuggy Otis. I said, man, go look up Shuggy Otis. And when he looked him up, he's like, yep, I do look like him. So but that's just the type of foolishness that I do. But it builds a good relationship between me and my players.
Definitely. And I think that's huge. Thank you for sharing that with us. The next question I have is why do you think so many athletes are hesitant to seek mental health services?
Oh, it's that stigma. That's easy. You go talk about mental health, you're labeled as weak, crazy. You don't have it all there. Uh, you were sheltered. Um, get over it. You'll be all right. There are more people in the world with less problems, with more problems than you. There's some words I want to use that I can't use because it's Sunday. But stop acting like a female dog. Get your tail out between your legs. I hear it all. I've heard it all. It's been told to me. And that male ego come back into play again. Well, I don't want to be labeled. So I'm not going to seek out mental health. The one thing I've told my players, and I've told all the coaches there, check on your players. Make sure we have resources for them to talk. to talk because suicide is a real thing. And once it happens, there is no coming back from suicide.
Absolutely.
So if we can just get people in general, if we can just get people in general to understand, hey, there is a such thing as mental health. I may need to talk to someone. And that doesn't, you shouldn't be labeled because you want to talk to someone. I think that is the best thing in the world is talking to someone instead of self-medicating because I've seen that happen. Whereas people, instead of want to talk to someone, they want to self-medicate. And that's just a whole, man, that's a different avenue right there that we don't even want to go down.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That's important. Okay, so now we're on to our final two sections where you pick. Well, I don't have the envelopes, but I do have the questions. So you pick a question, pick a number 1 through 5, and then I'll ask you that question, or you can ask me a question since this is Ask JMO.
One through
But you got to do
five.
both. You said 5?
No, no, I said 1 through 5. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Yes, 1 through 5.
1 through 5. Because one is usually the obvious and five is usually obvious. So I'm gonna pick something obscure. So I ain't gonna pick three. That's in the middle. So I'll pick four.
Okay, 4. What do you do to take care of your mental health?
What do I do to take care of my mental health? Uh, well, me being a DJ, uh, I would put my headphones on and listen to music and do some mixes for the radio station. Uh, I'm also a big gym goer. Um, so I think a lot of my mental health solutions come at 3 o'clock in the morning at Planet Fitness when I'm trying to throw around some weights. Uh, I also like to crack jokes. Uh,
Yes, you do.
I've had uh, I've had a lot of people ask me why do I love to crack jokes and be funny, and I've always said that if I can get you to smile for 15 seconds, that's 15 seconds you're not worried about what you got going on in your life, and you may realize things may be better. So I get a joy out of that. I get a joy out of seeing people laugh. And it also helps with my mental too as well. Because having 7 kids and 2 dogs and married, it gets kind of like, whoa, wow, yeah, I need to go crack some jokes.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. Okay, so now you also ask me a question.
Makes you a question, man, Joy. I don't know if I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, I do, I do. Okay, what made you start your own business? And okay, let me say, what made you start your own mental health practice? I'll put it like that.
Okay. Um, so I've been, well, my degree, my undergrad degree is in psychology, and my master's degree is in social work. So as far as I can remember back, I've always wanted to be a psychologist. But the programs that were offered out here when I initially enrolled in the Austin P, by the time I finally came out here, it was no longer there. So I went the social work route. But no matter how much I try to be a part of a team and work within a group, somehow I always get singled out. Not necessarily as a bad thing, just I always end up working by myself. I still join the team, but the team either breaks down or I'm just separated from the team. And so, working in a crisis hospital, working for DCS, it's like I can do this. I can just provide services on my own terms to those individuals that I see needed the most. And most times I seen you, it was at sporting events, and it just makes sense. That's what I love. That's what helps me decompress from the day is being
around sports, being around basketball, baseball, sometimes football when I'm not in the team mom role. But that's just what helps me feel like the best version of myself. So I start paying attention. The more I start studying and doing all these trainings in regards to mental health, I start looking at it from a different angle as far as how are these players responding to what's going on? How are these parents, these parents in the sidelines, do they understand what they're saying and yelling and the kids can hear them, whether it's something positive or negative? And then even the effects it has on referees. And so I was like, this is my passion. This is what I want to help. I want to help those in the athletic community just be able to continue to move on after they've been overwhelmed with so much stuff, but also to understand that they are more than just the role they play on the field, on the court, in the game. They're still, an individual who chooses to be in a certain role at certain parts and time of the day.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining us, but I want to also take this time for you to plug yourself about your DJing, where you're DJing, as well as where you're coaching at, and any handles that you want to promote.
Okay. As far as the DJ thing, uh, I only DJ now and make mixes for radio stations, and that is because of football. Football does take up a lot of my time from watching film, getting ready for the next game, doing stuff like that. Play on Saturday, so that DJing on Saturday at Pure Lights in the Dynamic Six is over with. Not doing that anymore. But I am on formerly known as Twitter. I think it's called X now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why they call it X. Uh, but it's at DJ Verbal Clint, DJ VERBALKLINT. And the majority of my tweets are, well, I'm saying that all my tweets are about recruiting and football. Everything I post is about football. Like I said, I am a current senior defensive analyst and D-line coach at Bethel University in McKenzie, Tennessee. We did go 11-0 last year, won conference championship. We are currently sitting at 2-0. We've only given up 6.5 points a game, and we just won
Okay.
this past Saturday, 77-0. Um, yes, we are ranked number one in our conference in defense and number four in the country. And I'm not gonna say it had anything to do with me.
Hey,
but
toot
we
your
are
horn. That's important.
but we are number four in the country and number one in our conference in defense. I think that's about it.
All right. Again, thank you for joining me. And congratulations and good luck on the rest of the season. And
Thank
I'll
you very
talk
much.
to you when I talk to you. All
All
right.
right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Smash the like button and stay tuned for the next episode.